Has the league quietly moved on from LeBron James? That question hit harder than ever on February 16, 2025, the night he pulled out of what should have been his record-breaking 21st All-Star appearance. The official reason, foot and ankle soreness. But everyone watching knew it didn't feel like an injury story. It felt like avoidance. Because this wasn't just an exhibition game. It was a showcase of the league's newest killers rookies and second-year players desperate to prove they belonged on the same floor as the legends. And for the first time in his career, LeBron didn't look eager to meet that challenge. His early exit exposed something deeper, something he's been running from for years, the moment when the next generation stops chasing you and starts challenging you. But the All-Star incident was only the beginning. 90 minutes before tip-off. That's all it took for the entire All-Star weekend to flip upside down. 1 hour and a half before the lights came on, before the anthem, before the cameras rolled, the league got a notification no one expected LeBron James would not be playing. Not because of a major injury, not because of a sudden emergency, but because of foot and ankle soreness, a phrase that felt more like a convenient shield than a legitimate setback. And the timing couldn't have been more suspicious. This wasn't a Sunday game against a rebuilding team. This was the Rising Stars showcase leading directly into the main event, a group of hungry electric young hoopers all itching to challenge the man who dominated the NBA for 2 decades. The league wanted him there not just for ratings, but because Bronny's inclusion in the Rising Stars festivities already raised eyebrows. His father's presence helped legitimize the moment. Instead, LeBron's exit added fuel to the criticism. Chandler Parsons openly questioned why every team has to face Bronny. Yet LeBron couldn't face the young guys on All-Star Weekend. Draymond threw his own subtle jab about who deserves the privilege of playing on Sunday. For the first time, the whispers turned into headlines was LeBron dodging competition. It created the first real narrative of his career that he couldn't control a narrative built on avoidance rather than dominance. But if you rewind far enough, this behavior didn't come out of nowhere. If you want to understand why the All-Star no-show hit so hard, you have to go back to the one moment LeBron has spent his entire career trying to bury, the 2011 finals. Jason Terry recently pulled the curtain back again, retelling the moment he knew something was off. He said LeBron had his chin down, breathing heavy, looking drained in the fourth quarter, not frustrated, defeated. That was the instant Terry realized the superstar wasn't just struggling. He was mentally cooked. Then there's Game 4, the performance that still shadows every conversation about his legacy. 8 points. 8. From a player who calls himself the king. Worse, he was being guarded by Jason Kidd and JJ Barea, a 6'4" veteran and a 6-foot spark plug giving up almost a foot. LeBron didn't attack. He didn't impose. He disappeared. And that's where the comparison gets brutal. Kobe Bryant faced that same Dallas squad that year. The Lakers got swept, but Kobe never folded. He never lowered his head or tapped out emotionally. He fought until the buzzer, the Mamba instinct, refusing to break. LeBron couldn't match that. His PR machine has spent more than a decade burying those memories under highlight reels, documentaries, and carefully crafted narratives. But the cracks from 2011 never vanished. They followed him quietly, shaping every criticism that resurfaces whenever he steps away from a challenge. And those cracks became impossible to hide once the Lakers made their move. For all the power LeBron built over 2 decades, nothing prepared him for the quiet message the Lakers delivered this summer. He didn't walk in asking for a massive deal. He wasn't demanding control roster moves or long-term guarantees. All he wanted was a simple 1+1 extension, 1 year secured, 1 year optional. The kind of contract franchises usually hand to aging legends out of respect, even if they're no longer at their peak. But the Lakers didn't even sit down at the table. Not a meeting, not a phone call, not even a courtesy conversation. The silence said everything. Then came Rob Pelinka's press conference, a masterclass in corporate dodgeball. He stood at the podium talking about how the Lakers wanted to give LeBron absolute respect to choose his story. To the untrained ear, it sounded supportive, but the subtext was loud and clear. We're not committing to you. Please exit quietly. And just days later, the contrast became impossible to ignore. Luka signed a 3-year, $165 million extension instantly. No hesitation, no negotiation drama, no second thoughts. The Lakers threw the future at him like they'd been waiting for this moment. Meanwhile, LeBron, the player who brought them their 2020 championship, couldn't even get them to blink. For the first time in 23 seasons, he's entering the year on an expiring deal. No security, no promise, no throne. And the disrespect didn't end there. It got way more personal. The moment the Lakers landed Luka Dončić, the franchise didn't just make a trade, they made a declaration. 3 years, $165 million handed over without hesitation. A superstar secured a new era locked in. And the message underneath it all was impossible to miss. This is Luka's team now. The timing made it even colder. LeBron was in Los Angeles the day of Luka's extension press conference. Yet, he didn't show up. Didn't stand beside the new face of the franchise. Didn't offer a public welcome. He simply vanished from the moment where every past Lakers star showed unity. That absence didn't go unnoticed. Rachel Nichols pointed out what everybody else was whispering. LeBron wasn't avoiding Luka. He was avoiding the Lakers. Because for the first time since he walked into the league, he wasn't the center of a franchise's universe. The marketing shifted overnight promos built around Luka's stepbacks, instead of LeBron's chase-down blocks, social media graphics, placing LeBron in the background, and team strategy meetings no longer shaped around his preferences. Roster influence gone. Narrative control gone. Spotlight reassigned. The Lakers acted like LeBron was an aging icon whose chapter had already closed, even though he was still in uniform. After 2 decades of being the gravitational force, he suddenly felt like a supporting character in a show he used to headline. But nothing stung more than the part involving his son. Bronny James entering the league was always going to create a spectacle, but no one expected just how complicated it would become. When Bronny declined the Rising Stars game and the father-son skills challenge, the league tried to spin it as family privacy and injury management. But fans weren't buying it, and neither were players. Chandler Parsons asked the question everyone else was avoiding. Would LeBron have magically felt healthy if Bronny was in the Rising Stars game? The implication was brutal. LeBron bailed because facing young hoopers was bad optics, but somehow Bronny gets a pass at every turn. And here's the silent truth. The league tiptoes around. Bronny isn't ready. Coaches know it. Players know it. Front offices know it. Minutes have been sacrificed, rotations reshuffled, and opportunities taken from more deserving players just to preserve the father-son storyline LeBron built years before Bronny ever touched an NBA court. It was supposed to be a legacy moment, a historic father and son sharing the league together. Instead, it's become a point of tension. Veterans resent the forced narrative. Younger players resent losing their shot. And teams quietly admit they're burning development time to make the experiment look legit. The irony, LeBron created this situation to extend his legacy. But now it's accelerating the narrative that he's living off reputation, not dominance. His final big storyline has backfired into subtle league-wide resentment. And while LeBron fought to protect Bronny, something else slipped away. For years, fans repeated the same line like it was carved into league scripture: LeBron can guard all 5 positions. It became part of his mythology, one of those phrases analysts threw around without ever checking if it was still true. And for a while, early in his career, it actually was. The chase-down blocks, the weak side rotations, the highlight moments where he smothered smaller guards, they helped build the image of a defensive titan. But that version of LeBron hasn't existed in nearly a decade. The eye test shows it every night. He avoids the toughest assignments, hovers near half-court hunting transition plays, and lives off occasional chase-down blocks that mask the possessions he took off. The advanced numbers back it up too: declining lateral quickness, late closeouts, and defensive ratings that fall behind the league's elite wings. The myth stayed alive only because the highlights did. Truth is, the cracks were visible long before age ever became an excuse. Jason Terry torching him in 2011 wasn't a fluke. J.J. Barea cooking him at 6 feet tall wasn't an anomaly. Later finals from Kawhi to Durant exposed the same issues. He's never been the on-ball stopper that the narrative claims. Those comparisons to Kobe, Jordan, and Duncan on the defensive end only make the gap harder to ignore. Those guys took the hardest matchups. LeBron delegated them. Eventually, image ran out of room to hide reality. But nothing shook the image more than the cold truth about his legacy numbers. For 2 decades, LeBron's supporters leaned heavily on one talking point: he made it to 10 finals. But longevity isn't the same as dominance, and eventually, the scoreboard forces every discussion back to reality. Jordan sits at 6-0 perfect, Kobe 5-2, Duncan 5-1, Magic 5-4, Bird 3-2. And then there's LeBron 4-6, the only one in that group with a losing record on the biggest stage. No context or creative narrative can erase that number. It lives next to his name forever. And when you look closer at the path that got him there, the cracks widen. The Eastern Conference during LeBron's prime was historically weak aging stars, rebuilding franchises, low playoff seeds, skating into second rounds. If you had a pulse and a decent roster, you were practically guaranteed a finals appearance, which is exactly why those losses matter so much. 2011 folded against Dallas mentally and physically. 2014 outclassed by San Antonio's systematic domination. 2015 lost to a Golden State team starting Andrew Bogut before the dynasty even began. 2017 and 2018 back-to-back dismantling by the Warriors where even LeBron couldn't keep the games close. These aren't footnotes. They're the defining moments of a career that always ran on two tracks: the myth and the truth. One crafted by media and marketing, the other carved into the finals history books. And once you strip away the highlight reels, the reality is simple: LeBron spent more time losing on the biggest stage than winning. And this is where everything collapses into the final act. For most of his career, LeBron could bend franchises to his will. If he wanted a trade, it happened. If he wanted a teammate moved, it happened. If he wanted a coach replaced, it happened. But this summer revealed something he never expected. The power play doesn't work anymore. Behind the scenes, Rich Paul quietly tested the waters, checking which teams might be interested in trading for LeBron. The Lakers' response wasn't loyalty, it was business. They shut every conversation down, not because they were committed to him, but because they wanted his $52.6 million coming off the books next summer. It gets worse. No legitimate contender wants a 41-year-old superstar who demands control-heavy minutes and legacy protection. Teams aren't rearranging their future for a player in the twilight of his career who expects to be treated like he's still in year 10, not year 22. The league has already shifted its spotlight to Luka Dončić, SGA, and the next wave of killers. These guys don't fear LeBron. They don't chase him. They don't need him. The NBA is moving forward at full speed, and for the first time, it's not waiting for him to catch up. The harsh truth is settling in LeBron might not get to choose his ending. He might not walk away on his own terms. He might be forced out by a league that's already chosen its new faces. And that leads to the question nobody expected to ask about LeBron James. LeBron James's story was supposed to end with fireworks, a farewell tour, and one last heroic run. Instead, it's unraveling in slow motion, a reluctant fade where every step forward feels like a reminder that the game no longer bends to him. The all-star withdrawal. The silence from the Lakers. Luka's arrival. Bronny's struggles, the defensive myths, the finals record, each piece adds up to a truth even his strongest supporters can't ignore anymore. The new generation isn't waiting for permission. Luka Dončić, SGA, and Tatum, they're not challenging LeBron's throne. They've already stepped over it. And for the first time in his career, LeBron isn't controlling the narrative. He's reacting to it, trying to keep pace with a league that's already moved into its next era. So the real question becomes simple and unsettling. Is LeBron's legacy collapsing? Or is this simply what the final chapter of a king really looks like?